everyone. Welcome to Star Oracle, or welcome back if you've been here before. Thanks for checking out this reading today. We are going to look at what this eclipse portal has to tell us, what messages. So as of now, the nodes are in Aries and Libra. And so wherever the nodes are is where we have eclipses. So on March 25th, we have a lunar eclipse, which is the full moon eclipse in Libra. And then on April 8th, we have the solar eclipse, which is going to be the new moon in Aries. And nodes are not actually like objects in the sky, they're just points. So the north node and the south node are the point where the path of the sun and the path of the moon intersect. It's a little bit difficult to visualize, but there's if you're curious about it, you can look at images online. And there's a lot of mythology around the nodes, particularly the story of this dragon, where this dragon is beheaded and the head of the dragon becomes Ketu, the tail of the dragon being Rahu. It's also kind of just described as a serpentine figure. And the way the nodes have been interpreted in astrology have changed a lot over time. They weren't really mentioned a whole lot in ancient astrology, or even in ancient Indian astrology either. They kind of became more prevalent later on. And the way that they're interpreted can vary from just being the north node representing a point of increase, the south node representing a point of decrease. So whatever house, or if they're meeting a planet in that area, that can signal increase or decrease of the properties of those planets, or whatever that house is representing. They also have in more modern astrology been interpreted as like our destiny, like the north node being where we're moving towards, where the south node is where we're kind of moving away from, or like our past lives too, maybe the things that we are more comfortable with already, but need to, we're like kind of have a genius around, or like we really know these things well, whereas the north node is like an unexplored place for us, and where we're meant to kind of move in that direction more. So, or in that sense too, like using the words dharma for the north node and then karma for our south node. So there's these different ways that they've been talked about in astrology, and also just the fact that they intensify things a lot, which that interpretation to me makes so much sense, considering this is the literal point in the sky where that signal eclipses. And I think if you're watching this video, you probably have an understanding that eclipses bring a lot of unexpected things or change in people's lives, or they're said to. They're, in the history of astrology, seen as like these times of great changes, such as like, royal figures dying or being birthed, and wars and things like this happening. And so eclipses can be seen in a very negative light too because of this. They can be feared, and that also I think makes sense if you have ever seen or witnessed an eclipse, where the light that we normally take for granted, almost, it just becomes obscured, and we don't know when it will come back, right? So it can be a little bit scary. Well, we do now, sorry, I don't we know it'll come back, because we're like in this time where we can track these things. But how scary it would have been to just suddenly see that like your light source, like what brings you life, is suddenly being obscured and going away. So they were seen in a very negative light in the past, and I think in this more as we look at it in a more modern sense, now it's really this, these points can really, in a chart, I personally feel like I like to look at them just on the fact that they create the aspect of an opposition. So the north and the south node are always exactly opposite each other. And in an opposition, there's always a tension there. There's like a similarity, but there's always this kind of like need to balance two very different energies. or just two separate energies. They don't even have to be totally different. So I think just thinking about it in that way too, it's like we're constantly figuring out how to find a place where the north and the south node can both be experienced in our lives. Maybe not in like complete equal fashion, but just like so we're not letting one overtake the other necessarily. So that was a lot on the north and south node. I think that's mostly what I want to say. Oh, and also if you're interested in the astrology of the upcoming eclipse, so on the 25th, the moon is going to be at 5 degrees of Libra, and so you want to look to the house that Libra rules in your chart. And then you also would need to look at at Pisces. So what house Pisces falls in will help give you some insight as well, because the ruler of Libra is Venus, and Venus is currently in Pisces and will be for the eclipse. And then on the April 8th eclipse, the moon and sun will be conjunct. Obviously, it's new moon at 19 degrees of Aries. And the ruler of this eclipse is Mars, who will also be in Pisces. So the Aries, Libra, and Pisces, whatever houses those are for you, are definitely significant places to look to for this upcoming eclipse portal opening that's happening. And when we think about eclipses, you know, a normal full moon can have lasting impact for about a month is typically how it's seen. Although, you know, depending on if a full or a new moon is landing on a very particular point in your chart, it could be longer. You know, it's all relative. But the eclipses generally, their impact lasts much longer, up to 6 months or even longer than that. You know, if this is really impacting your chart in a certain significant way, these can be lasting changes that affect your entire life, which isn't to be feared, or, you know, we can't really predict what's going to happen within an eclipse. They have this very spontaneous, just intense energy. So I always tell people, like, just be open and try to stay in the heart space as much as you can and allow any changes to happen. Maybe like don't try to force things during eclipse time. And yeah, just to kind of let things unravel as they need to. So with that being said, we've got 3 piles today. So we have the pile 1 here with this smoky amethyst, got pile 2 with the emerald, and pile 3 with the strawberry quartz. So take a breath, center yourself, decide, maybe you've already decided which pile is calling to you. And whenever you are ready, I will meet you at your reading. Hello, pile 1. Y'all chose the smoky amethyst. And your card that came through for this reading is this forgiveness card here. I love this image because we see a figure jumping from one stone to another, and sort of this idea also of like release happening in order to move on to the next thing, right? The fact that this eclipse is happening, the ruler of the next eclipse in Libra is Venus, which Venus is in Pisces right now, really brings up that, just that word and that idea of what forgiveness even means. So to me, this is really saying that during the eclipse time period, and even up, you know, for the next 6 months, from whenever you're watching this, like this could really be a time where you're kind of just really ready for forgiveness, because I don't feel it's not something that can be forced. And, you know, in the intro I said eclipse times are not a time to force anything. This is more giving me the energy that this is going to happen naturally, and actually, like, as you're moving on in different parts of your life, that the natural outcome of that is this kind of ability to forgive and release something that has just potentially been keeping you feeling pretty, I don't want to use the word lifeless, but like stagnant maybe, or really just not yourself, right? Like not full of that vibrant life to be able to like jump into new experiences. And this could very well have to do with your relationship to others, whether that be platonic or romantic relationships, just because these eclipses are in Aries and Libra. And Libra, the first one on the 25th, Libra has so much to do with our one-to-one relating. And then Aries, of course, being like independent and sort of who we are just on our own. And so figuring out the balance between that, and like, it's even interesting, like jumping between these two spheres of life essentially, but floating floating in between, and maybe even learning a new way to defy gravity a little bit, like these birds, through allowing forgiveness and through entering a time in your life when forgiveness is just much easier, which could really surprise you. You know, I don't think that eclipses are just all scary things or difficult situations. It's more like perhaps a challenging thing might come forward, but you might be surprised by where you are in your life and your own reaction to that. Yeah, so let's draw a couple of cards. So we're going to ask what is being released, or what we're being asked to let go of through this eclipse time, and then what we're being asked to call in or move towards, or yeah, what might be coming towards us even. So collective of group 1. Rahu and Ketu. The nodes, north node, south node. What are you asking of collective 1 to release? This time, what is being asked? Collective 1 to let go of the release. What is being asked? Collective 1 to move towards. Moving towards. Calling in. Just gonna do a 1-card clarifier as well for each of these. I'll get a little bit deeper into it. Please clarify the Princess of Discs. These 2 so we have Princess of Discs, which is the page of Pentacles, and Prince of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups. And then to clarify, we have the Hierophant come out along with this Queen of Wands. And the Page of Wands. So I'm really feeling on this releasing, like what are we letting go of? The Page of Discs, Page of Pentacles. Pages can often be cards about learning, about being students, apprentices, just starting something, right? Starting that learning. And with the Hierophant clarifying it, also the Mother of Wands, it just feels like you're really ready to level up in some way in the material. And beyond that, with the Prince of Cups coming out this night, it's perhaps maybe not like a shift of leveling up in the material, but more actually maybe a refocusing or devoting more energy perhaps or something, or calling in more of this Knight of Cups, which is that really like feels like in this card like free-flowing impassioned emotion and just wanting to express something from the heart, right? And I feel like this Queen of Wands really actually does go under the forgiveness card. Like it seems like that's actually what's being balanced or something, like stepping in more to this Queen of Wands energy, and that moving through the energy of the Knight of Cups is going to get you that stepping stone, like to the Page, and then eventually you reach the Queen, right? Like of Wands. That opening the heart space could create this spark within that is leading you then into this like impassioned visionary, essentially, with this Mother of Wands, this Queen of Wands. Yeah, I feel like with the Hierophant, like there might be something here where there have been like legacies or institutions or something that has felt maybe not like a barrier, but just something that you've had to work with for a long time, or that maybe has been keeping you back from fully entering into this Mother of Wands, or you have been slowly progressing through some kind of learning or institution. But I also feel like the Hierophant can be like spiritual knowledge too, and just being able to access our higher selves. So there is some sense here of like you have been doing that, or this has already been a part of your life to this point where you are able to like progress into something new, which feels more I just keep seeing this like floating person in that state of forgiveness. It feels beyond the material. Like fire to me really has that like spiritual representation for me too. And this part of this eclipse is Aries, right? Like that fiery Aries energy, and that fire being so instinctual, so holding its own intuition through its instinct. And so I feel like, yeah, like this is such a understanding the world through the lens of the material, right? And then this is like understanding the world through the lens of the heart, through the lens of the emotions. And then we come to fire, and it's like going beyond that in a lot of ways. It's like feeling into that instinctual passion for life and for connectedness to what is beyond life too. I love that this particular card has the image of the snake on it too, which feels like in alignment with this question we're asking of the nodes themselves, which are represented through a dragon or through a serpent, and like, I don't know, like being able to see that energy, which sometimes can be looked at as, and villainized, but seeing this snake as a mother and this snake as being very protective, I feel like is just a powerful like symbol, not only like of protection, but like protection of over the new beginnings that are happening in your life, and also spiritual protection, and just that you have the capacity now, or growing into, or this eclipse is giving you some kind of new beginning in this realm of your own spiritual evolution in some way, because of the way that forgiveness is showing up, and because of the way that you're allowing your heart to open and moving forward with that. And maybe it means that that through the eclipse, like you're gonna have an opportunity to offer forgiveness to someone, you know, like this prince too is holding the cup that has a snake within it, which I think is really interesting as well. It's like offering that chance of renewal, some kind of transformative gift that comes from the heart that can be offered to another person or to ourselves. So yeah, maybe you have an apology coming your way, you know, with that Knight of Cups too, an offering of love and of like forgiveness, of gratitude, whatever it may be, but really like whatever it is, it's pulling you, I feel like, into the Mother of Wands energy, which is really powerful. So I'm gonna draw one oracle from this deck as well. Message. Let's group 1 need to know for the eclipse portal. Child of the cosmos. The intelligence of the universe lies within you. Oh, this feels really connected to the Hierophant and also Mother of Wands, like the path that you've been on in this life already, clearly, all that you've been learning in your spiritual life and just in the material, and how those have been like progressing essentially up until this point, and like coming into this place of remembrance through the heart. I love how these cards, the colors in them are really similar, and it feels like, I don't know, they feel aligned in some way. Like, yeah, once you can reach this place of more being able to like offer yourself more open-heartedly, or someone else coming towards you with that offering, that it's really allowing you to step into this Mother of Wands, which is someone who remembers, like, I am a child, right, of the cosmos. Like, I understand the way that I hold intelligence, the way that I hold the divine spark within me. I feel like there's no question of that with the Mother of Wands. With the Queen of Wands, it's just this innate knowing and this, passion for life, which is lived from a place of letting divinity express through them. So it seems like this eclipse portal is just going to be, I mean, a beautiful point of release in terms of something that maybe you've struggled to have forgiveness around, and whether that means someone coming in to offer an apology towards you, or you finding a way to find forgiveness without that, without the need for that, where it happens spontaneously because you're just continuing to progress in your life in such a way that suddenly you don't need that. Or it could even happen, I'm thinking with the Hierophant here, like, and the Mother of Wands, where it's like actually that apology comes in a different form, like through a dream or in a meditation or something. You're just experiencing the ability to feel at peace with that, and understand kind of your interconnectedness perhaps with that, whatever that energy is that you've been desiring that apology from, or even in yourself. I think a lot of us could use more self-forgiveness. One of my favorite things to say to myself if I'm struggling around other people is just like, I forgive myself and I forgive you, and I do that when I actually mean it, but I might still have things come up around people who I can struggle with remembering certain things, and I'll just say that to myself. And it really helps because there is a need sometimes to forgive ourselves as well for like allowing certain energies to have such influence over our lives, or to impact us or throw us off course. But I think there is wisdom in understanding the lessons that come from those experiences, and to be able to find maybe eventually at some point some gratitude for the experience itself, once we've moved through even the stage of forgiveness. I know one thing that has been really powerful for me is like thinking of how certain experiences and people's reactions in my life actually taught me, like, oh, I'm allowed to do that too. Like, even if I don't like the way that people are acting, it gives me a little bit more freedom. Like, oh, I don't have to like follow some certain rule book. Like, I'm literally a human being having this experience as well, and like I get to decide. And that's kind of a powerful lesson in itself. And yeah, so I feel like the more, especially around eclipses, the more we can keep an open mind and heart, the better off we'll be. Like, and not forcing any kind of need to understand what's going on right now. Like, we might not even know the results of what's going on through this eclipse until, way further down the line. So give yourself space to just experience what's happening, and trust that whatever is unfolding is truly for your highest good here, is what it really feels like, and your soul's evolution, stepping up, leveling up for sure. All right, pile one, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe if this was resonating, or leave a comment. I would love that. I post every Sunday now. I just started a few weeks ago, a reading dealing with the astrology of what's going on, or speaking with the planets, all sorts of stuff. So feel free to follow me. I would love that. And give it a like if you liked this reading. And hopefully I will see you again. Thank you so much for being here and sharing your energy with me. And I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, pile 2. Y'all chose the emerald and got 2 cards that came out. So we have the mask and also this reciprocity card. Yeah, so immediately I think this is really powerful when we're thinking of the archetypes of Aries and Libra. Libra being symbolized by the scales, right? And like finding that balance, and the word reciprocity really speaks to Libra energy. I think with this mask card, that can also, you think about Aries energy, which is about the self, and so many times we have to wear different masks at different parts of our lives in order to move through the world. And it makes me feel like during this eclipse period, there's going to be a way really to kind of release some way that you've been holding this mask up. The blue is making me think of the voice, so there could be some way that you have been holding yourself back, particularly around how, like, this idea of reciprocation, and whether your relationships, no matter what, platonic, familiar, like romantic, the ways that they're either offering you the reciprocity you need or maybe not at this time. And part of what this is saying to me is maybe this eclipse period is actually giving you insight into the ways that how you are holding a mask to this more true essence of self could be preventing you perhaps from experiencing the reciprocity that you're really desiring in relationship. And the more you're able to kind of lean into the Aries, that true independent self, like really fearless, a lot of courage with the Aries archetype, like just brazen independence and power, self-power, like the easier it will be to access reciprocity, because you're not even necessarily, it's not like forcing it. It's more that is leading then the people to you who see you without this mask on, and will already desire naturally to be a force in your life that offers that kind of mutual benefit, mutual exchange with you, without having to be holding up this kind of disguise in order to try to get the things that you really desire, which is really just our conditioning too, right? Like the ways that we're kind of conditioned out of being our full selves. And I think that this eclipse happening in Aries, in particular on the 8th, is literally exactly conjunct Chiron, like to the minute. I don't even know the last time an eclipse was like to the minute conjunct another planet. It's kind of wild. So this really is just going to be such a deep, potent moment, I feel like, for the collective in general, to work through a lot of our own just our own deep wounds that keep us from that core essence of who we are, that initial life spark. Aries is the very first sign of the zodiac. I really like thinking of it as just like that first burst of life that we have. It's like completely unguarded to the world. and full of passion and just ready to experience life and all it has. Like, there's no questioning of what direction to go into. It's pure instinct in a lot of ways. And in that, like, there's just so much power and innovation too, I feel like, with Aries, because there isn't this like need to constantly ask, like, am I going in the right direction? Like, is this the right thing to do? They're just ready to go. You know, and like whatever is coming up, they're like, let's do it, right? Like, we're ready. And yeah, so I think these two cards are really pointing out an opportunity to do some healing around maybe the conditioning that has kept you from really stepping into that fullness of self that is kind of untouched from conditioning, so that it will naturally bring those who desire to reciprocate with you, because that's, you know, like, they'll recognize you, they'll really see you. So I'm going to draw some cards. We're going to look at what you are releasing and then what you're being asked to move towards during this eclipse portal. So, collective, pile 2. Pile 2. Will pile 2 be releasing during the eclipse period? Towards pile 2, or what are they being asked to move towards? That's way too many. And 6. Alright, I'm going to get one clarifier also from this deck for each of these. Five of Swords with defeat. And that's clarified by the Magician. Six of Swords with science. And we see Mercury in Aquarius. And I think this one was Venus with in Aquarius on that card. And then we've got the Three of Wands in this deck. All right. I feel like this really speaks well to what I already brought up with this mask and reciprocity. With this Five of Swords here and the word defeat coming through, it's really so much speaking to fear, and particularly fear that can come up in relationships. I think this is, you know, the fear of being our true self, the fear of letting the mask fall, like allowing people to see what's underneath that and how scary that can be. And with this card, having Venus in Aquarius on it, I feel like that's also speaking directly to relationships. And, you know, this eclipse in Libra is ruled by Venus, who's in Pisces right now. So I think this can speak a lot right now, this card, to needing to release fear around your relationships, and maybe needing to let go of past narratives of how things have happened to you before, when you tried to show parts of yourself perhaps and were rejected, or just felt defeated, and like there was not, you know, like you weren't seen, like you were misunderstood, or even that showing parts of yourself created conflict with others, which is really painful. I think that this card coming through is really just reiterating, like, the only way to move forward is to, I mean, I don't like to tell people, like, just release your fear. Like, that's not really possible, but maybe just instead allow new experiences to happen and try as best as you can to not let fear interrupt your capacity for having new experiences and being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be seen by people. And whenever we've gone through situations like this, then I'm sure that there's a lot that you learned through those experiences, even if they were really painful. And I'm sorry that you've had those that happen in the relational world. You know, we can really hurt each other, and keep one another from being our full bright self, through how we engage in relationship with one another. So if you're holding a lot of pain or fear around relationship, I just extend a lot of love and hope that you are able to be kind to yourself as well. Yeah, and like, I love that we just have the Six of Swords coming right after as like what we're moving towards, right? Moving towards this Mercury in Aquarius, like new ways of communicating. Really finding peace in many ways too. This card, there's I feel like a good balance as well with these swords. So finding a place of peace in your mind, even to be able to communicate more of the truth of who you are, really feels like what you're being asked through this eclipse portal to be calling in more of. And I love that the Six of Swords was being clarified by this Three of Wands. And it's really interesting in this deck, the Three of Wands is representative of the Sun in Aries, which it is, the Sun in Aries. So I think that's so, or with the eclipse, the Sun is in Aries. And so I think it's totally, again, reiterating that Aries archetype of just like being your full self, and also having like full, just a alignment of like mind, actions, and spirit, you know, like moving forward with that integrity of self. I love that this card looks like a portal in itself. It's like this fire, like it almost feels too like, yeah, I've got, like, I found my direction, like there's my integrity, like where I want to move from, into like almost kind of like, here's the heart, where you found this kind of like peace in the mind, which has allowed you to understand the next step here, the next direction to go in relationship. And I feel like the Magician, clarifying the Five of Swords, that to me really, I think is kind of, like, I guess more to me, I was seeing it as like the clarifier, just saying that this is like around identity, or like around you feeling in control of your direction in life. So maybe feeling really defeated in like being able to fulfill some kind of purpose you feel you have, or even being able to like engage with the right people, like people who actually see you in this full like magician self, who can really recognize that within you, and support your growth essentially. So I think that fear is also just around like this fear of like people not seeing that, and past experiences of meeting again and again, like in these situations where it's like, wait, like I'm not being read in this way that I feel of who I am. So with the Six of Swords, there's really, you know, with Mercury being here, it totally is just like a new way of expressing self, and being brave in that. And I love seeing like these bent swords here, and then it's like these really straight swords just right at the heart of this cross. Like there is some clarity, I think, too, that could perhaps really come through in this eclipse time, around this pattern, or just, yeah, this experience that you have maybe had of in relationship, of not being fully recognized, and also the struggle to release your guard in a lot of ways, but how doing so can really, like, I just feel like there could be a breaking open here, of moving into a more just a time period where your mind has a lot more peace, and also like clear vision, and like the more that you're in touch and having other people actually mirror to you, like this reciprocity is making me think also like just people being able to properly mirror who you are, that it's really going to offer like a more focused direction. And I love that the Magician is just like staring at this like Three of Wands portal, like, yes, like I'm going through that. I'm ready for this next adventure here, and ready to try something, like, or perhaps you're already in the process of taking off in that new direction, and just following that inner guidance of what already feels like the right direction is going to help you to release the fear and move into this place of like of internal calm, and feeling like it's possible for you to open up, and communicate more, just more freely with others, really. That's what I feel. So I'm going to pull one more card, an oracle here, and see what last message wants to come through for group 2. Final message. Group 2 need to hear. at the love. Will it focus? Maybe. So this Hadarian energy, codependency, and boundaries. Oh yes, we can't really not talk about those things if we're speaking about Libra and Aries axis. And yeah, especially with like both of these eclipses being ruled by Venus and Mars, who during the time of the eclipses, both of them are going to be respectively in Pisces, which can have such a difficult time with boundaries. And I think this coming through is just kind of reminding you that stepping more fully into the self, which is like our truest essence, is like that loving self, right? Like we didn't come into this world like hating things. We're really like we enter into this world and we're just like full of like wonder and curiosity as beings, and I think like remembering how we can connect to that sort of essence of love within is always going to help around any issues of codependency or boundaries. I feel like, especially with the reciprocity card coming out, like this is just such a big time where you're learning what boundaries feel good versus maybe which ones are actually creating more of a barrier and a mask between you and other people. Because sometimes that can happen too, especially if we've experienced like harm or hurt in our relationships and wounding there. Or like, and I don't just mean romantic, I mean it can be any kind of relationships, and particularly our relationships to our caregivers when we're children. And wounding there, like we continue to play out throughout our other relationships in our lives. And so the more that we just experience life and learn life, the better we become at understanding, if we're willing to really truly look at our own behaviors in relationship to others, the better that we become at being able to understand what we really need in terms of the boundaries that we experience and or we need to feel safe, or a sense of identity. And I think with this card, it makes me feel like truly the boundary that would really support you through this is just knowing more of who am I that I'm wanting to express, like to other people. Like, what is this vulnerable part of me that really wants to come through, that is like the more perhaps like, you know, full essence of who I am, versus like maybe just like showing someone like one part of who you are. But like, you know, who is this more full realized version of me, or full like, you know, wholeness, more a whole version of who I am that I want to show to other people. Because the more I know who that is, then that's going to help me understand what boundaries are going to be right for me. Because if we're creating a boundary based on one aspect of ourselves that's coming forward all of the time, that feels really afraid, those boundaries might be totally inaccurate and might actually bring people into our lives who are not right for us. So I think really like the Aries eclipse especially is just like gonna be a really radical moment of internal understanding of self, and yeah, like such a big opportunity to maybe reframe your own idea of what your boundaries are, or could be, the potential of what they could be. It might be a really interesting time to like journal about like what do I need to have to feel reciprocity? What do I need in relationship? Like truly, if I'm coming from an unafraid place, like from a full, like the full essence of myself. What do I actually need in terms of boundaries? Like, how do I want my relationships to look if they're like, what does this word reciprocity even like mean to me? It seems like these questions are coming up during this eclipse and really helping you move into really an impassioned new place in your life. The Three of Wands also can indicate travel sometimes. So maybe you're going to be taking a really exciting trip that is going to bring some of these themes forward for you, or give you like this opportunity to kind of like move past certain boundaries you've created before in your life that seemed to like perpetuate this feeling of defeat or fear, and kind of help you move into this new place where there is like opportunity for communicating in different ways and experiencing something totally different in relationship that really feels possible looking at these cards. So well, thanks Pile 2 for sharing your energy. If you liked this reading, I'm going to end it here. Please feel free to subscribe. I'm posting these every Sunday, and just conversations with the planets or what's happening in the sky. And yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for just hanging out with me. Feel free to give it a like if you liked it, or leave me a comment if this was resonating. I would love to hear if yeah, what's going on in your life, especially if this felt like something that really was striking a chord for you. So I'm sending you a lot of blessings through the eclipse portal. Be kind to yourself and hold compassion as much as you can for others in your life at this time. And all right, I'll see you next time. Bye. Hi, group 3. You chose the strawberry quartz and had 3 cards come out. I was like, do I want to take 3 cards? But they all like, they came out in like this perfect little like set together, and I looked at them and I was like, yeah, they all really like, they're speaking to one another, and it felt important. So I took them all. So we have harmony, and then we've got friction, which I love that this kind of looks like an eclipse image, and direction. Okay. So yeah, I love these 3 cards together because I feel like especially considering this is a question about eclipse time, and you know what we're really being asked in this moment to release or to welcome forward, that can cause a lot of friction, that can cause disruption in our harmony that we've created in our life. And I feel like the 3 of these together are sort of offering that reminder that we are still headed in the right direction, no matter what that path is looking like, and that it's super important to trust the fact that we are always on our path, and we're always, you know, in the right place at the right time, even if it doesn't feel that way. And I think with harmony, this idea of harmony and friction coming out together is so interesting, because eclipses especially can just feel really disorienting and create a little bit of chaos too. And especially both of these are being ruled, like the first eclipse is in Libra, the moon's in Libra, ruled by Venus, and then the second one is the moon in Aries conjunct the sun in Aries, and that is ruled by Mars. And so I love, like, I feel like these are Venus and Mars words, like harmony and friction, and what is happening in between those two, you know, like when we're either like leaning more into one or to the other. how that oscillation is still like, it's kind of keeping us almost in this straight path, whether we realize it or not. Like, we might be veering off in one way or the other, but actually both of them kind of working together, and us like allowing these moments when we feel a greater sense of harmony, when we're able to kind of look around at our environments and see like, oh, this might feel like these things are fitting together in a funny way, but like I have this greater sense and understanding of the harmony of my life. And like, even as the friction comes through, that we still are able to trust that the harmony still exists, and that when we allow the challenges to arise, that it's actually helping us move into even greater states of harmony, and also propelling us forward and into new directions. I was thinking of they had a little quote at the beginning of the friction card that I thought was really great. If you are irritated by every rub, how will your mirror be polished? And that's a quote from Rumi. I just love that. So yeah, maybe like this eclipse portal could be a lot of ups and downs, and really make you question, you know, one day feeling really great and like, yeah, I am doing, like, I know I'm on my path, and the next day being like, I don't know what the hell is going on, like, I don't know where I'm going, like, so I think that these cards coming through are just like, it's all, you know, like, it's all the right direction, and there's a reason, like, maybe your mirror is being polished. Have a clearer view of yourself and where you're going, actually. So it's really saying like to embrace whatever is showing up in the present moment, really is what feels like is coming through these cards. So I want to draw some tarot to ask specifically what this eclipse portal is asking you to release or let go of at this time, and then what is being asked of you to call forward or to move towards, or what might even be coming towards you. So collective, pile 3. What are you being asked to release? take these. Okay, they both flipped over. That's good. This is some big eclipse energy. Okay. All right, group 3, we had the Ace of Swords coming through. Clarified by the Emperor. Again with the eclipse image. Oh, it's so good. It's like we have both the solar and the lunar, or the solar and the lunar eclipse showing up, because sometimes the moon can look red when we have a lunar eclipse. That's really cool that they're both showing up. And then we have the Aeon or Judgment clarified. There's a lot of imagery in this card. This is being clarified by the star and the moon. Okay, don't mind me. I'm just trying to make it kind of pretty. Okay. Wow, group 3. These cards are really, really telling me that there's a need to release self-judgment and a need to control the mind space, particularly. With the Emperor clarifying this Ace of Swords, it's like really making me feel like you have a lot of just need or attachment to your logical thinking space being in alignment with what's happening around you, and when that doesn't happen, that it causes just a lot of confusion and difficulty for you. It's really like obviously throwing you out of this place of harmony and just making it feel pretty stressful internally, I would say, in your mind space. So if this is resonating for you, you know, I really feel with this like Judgment card coming through with the star and the moon, it's so much pointing in this direction of needing to release that judgment to where you can move into a space of more like full discernment in life versus like only kind of coming from a place of logic, perhaps with the way that you're approaching things. This card speaks a lot to, I mean, it can also be seen as kind of an awakening to Judgment has like there's this kind of expansive quality to it, especially looking at it in this this deck, where it's like all of our history, like all of our versions of self, like both personal and collective, are all kind of coming together and being like shown as one being or overlapped beings. So there's really this sense of holding all the wisdom that's come before us and that will come, and being able to approach life from that level of discernment, which is kind of like taking a step back almost from life, which is why I feel like the moon and the star are showing up too. It's like there is so much more than this moment of friction, right? Like I think that's what this is saying, is like if we can really tap into the fact that, you know, we are we're in these bodies for this short amount of time, but we're so much more than that, and our history goes way, way farther beyond that and into some unknown. And I think the moon is honoring the fact that that is that level of obscurity around our existence can be like disconcerting, you know, and also make us question our direction in life, or like what is even the purpose of it, you know. But I think the star here as well is kind of like offering not only a sense of hope that there is meaning in all of this, even though sometimes it feels like there isn't. There feels like a lot in this reading of like, maybe you're just at a point where you're struggling with really big moments of duality, like finding it difficult to hold the fact that unconditional love, like you can feel unconditional love in your body, but like there's a freaking like war happening and people are experiencing extreme suffering in the world at the same time, like holding these like extremes, and how that's showing up even like also just in your daily experiences too, where it's like just being thrown off constantly by understanding like you're reaching this place of like, I know that I'm more than this, right? Like I think that when we get to the place where we want to observe our mind, we want to have more control and power through the way that we're thinking, right? It can be really amazing when we reach that point, and then it's like as we get further and further where we're developing and having to realize like I have to let go in some ways, like of holding on to some sense of security around my logical mind. Like, oh my God, like that's really intense to kind of step into this place of like, what's beyond that even? And then to be a witness to the world around us and just seeing so much disharmony and so much chaos and pain. I just feel like it can, yeah, like lead to really distressed states. And maybe I'm projecting on you a little bit, so if this isn't like where you're at, don't worry. I feel like this is about self-judgment, but I just feel like it is really hard to be a human being and to try to have an internal like sense of integrity when there's just so we're like exposed to so much happening in every single moment that is showing us the extremes of what it means to be alive. And so I resonate with you if that's what's going on, and just like extend a lot of compassion to trying to hold the truth about this life, the many truths about this life, because there are so many truths, and so I feel like that's why judgment is coming out after this Ace of Swords, like needing to release like a one perspective, control over having one perspective only, and like being able to enter into this mode where like it's greater discernment, and it's like being able to see the fullness of life beyond just your, you know, like a few truths or something that you're holding, and ultimately that working with the duality, like working inside of the paradox essentially between this experience of like having harmony, and then having the frictions come up in life, is like it is the path, like it is the direction forward. So yeah, and I love that the star is right under this direction. It's like keep holding that hope, and also like the star being a card of healing, that I feel like your own path towards releasing judgment of self and others is part of what is helping you to heal in this life and move you in a, like towards your direction or your path, like continuing to keep you on it. Yeah, and like supporting your actions as you go that impact yourself and other people in really profound ways, because embracing judgment, ooh, like that's that's not like for the faint of heart. And I feel like if this is resonating for you, Like, I mean, it just seems like such a powerful moment, time period to move into a more integrated place, where your mind and your heart are like in having more congruence, your mind, heart, and your actions specifically. I feel like that's really a gift that wants to come through so strongly through this eclipse time for you, and it might be bringing up some really confronting and difficult things into your awareness. And at the same time, I think it's like being open to that and allowing it to happen is what helps create the healing and helps propelling you in this direction. Oh, yeah. And like, it's also okay if you don't know what's happening. I just have to like stress that. I like that it's a crescent moon on here, which is just making me think like what happens after the new beginning, right? Like we're just starting to understand what is going on, but it takes time to really fully get it. And like if you're in like this is also like what you're moving towards, or what you're being asked like to move towards, and the moon is that like that just mysterious place. So I think the more you can nurture yourself in the moments when you feel a lot of confusion and just total lack of understanding of like, why am I here? Like, what is even the point of all of this? Like, or I don't even know how to make myself like someone who can have a healing path in this life, or like who could offer healing to others, let alone myself. Like, I think the moon is just reminding you that like you don't have to know. And that's why this is like you're releasing this like need to know all the time, like or need to control your mind in that way. I think one of my favorite things to do that helped me a lot when I was like doing a lot of my own healing was just whenever I would notice myself like my mental narrative going to a place of like really intense judgment, I started doing this thing where I would be like, I know that that's how it is. Like I know that I'm a horrible person or something, whatever my mind was like telling me, or like I know things are horrible, or like I'm never gonna get out of this thing, but I'm gonna try. Just let me try for like let me have this other thought for a few minutes, and we'll just see what happens. So it was like it almost became this thing where whenever I would acknowledge, because having the awareness that you are in a self-judging place is really important, and so just giving acknowledgement to the fact, like to that part of you that's coming forward with that like intense judgment, and just being like, I know. I just really would like a second to just like feel something else and just see what happens, but I understand you, like, I get it. Like, so maybe that's something that could help you at this time. Yeah, I'm gonna draw, oh yeah, I wanted to do one more card. I'm gonna draw an oracle card for you. One more message for pile 3. Lunar eclipse. Okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, wow. I love it. Like, sometimes you just really can't make this stuff up. Look at this. Fall into my arms. Surrender, holding the opposites, extremes of life. Absolutely. Wow, that's so beautiful to come through with everything that we've spoken about. Yeah. And like being in this beautiful pool of water, just being like held by the divine, or whatever makes you feel that kind of depth of security and of being understood and recognized, especially when you are in this state of just the extremes of life. Because there's so much healing available to you when you just surrender, when it's too much. It's so powerful, I feel like, when we are just experiencing these moments where it's just like, it's too much. Like, it's way too much to just recognize, oh, I can literally set it down for something bigger than me. I don't know what kind of spiritual practices that you have or what your beliefs are, but if you have any sort of, whatever it is, your connection, if you're watching a tarot reading, you probably have some kind of openness to the fact that, like, we aren't alone here. There are some other forces involved in this whole experience that are maybe watching over or supporting us. And the more in these moments when you're experiencing just the intensity of life that can come when we're like existing within the paradox of it all, to just release it, like really just let it go, like drop it, even for 5 minutes or whatever. I really find that I'm someone who has like my own like past religious trauma stuff, and it was weird to come back to like prayer in my life, but when I did, like that was it's been like a powerful return for me to feel comfortable with that again. So, and I think people pray in many different ways, and like maybe your prayer is just like walking outside without shoes on or something, like walking barefoot on the ground, or like getting in a pool of water, or singing, or whatever it might be. But I think during this eclipse portal, like this is such just the offering of healing and ability to just fall into what's happening, and just allow it to be what it is, and trying to release judgment of your own reactions, of other people's reactions, because we're all stuck in the paradox. No one is escaping this, even if they think that they are. Like, and I think the more we have compassion for our own selves, it's just that strengthens our compassion for others too. So yeah, and like, I don't know, this is just such a beautiful promise, that, or reminder, like, of what is actually available to you in every single moment. Oh, okay, group 3. I hope that offered some support to any of you who were really resonating with this reading. I'm extending a lot of care your way as you navigate through all of the bumpiness and beauty as well of this upcoming eclipse season. And yeah, thanks for sharing your energy with me and for hanging out in this space. Feel free to leave a comment if this, if you got something from this and want to share your experience. I would love that. Like the video, it definitely helps to get the messages out if you liked this, to help share with other people. Subscribe if you want more readings like this. I'm posting every single Sunday with messages from the planets, or whatever cycles are happening out in the stars in the sky. So I would love to have you back. Yeah, thank you again for being here, and sending all our blessings your way through this time period. Much love.